because I said I was going to address the comments that were in the comments section regarding my USCCA post. So, because let's have that conversation. I saw some interesting comments on here. And by the way, like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. And I think this stuff is worth talking about. So let's go on ahead and dive into it. I hope you guys are well this morning. And if you have to hit the bell, hit unsubscribe and then hit subscribe and then hit the bell for notifications, because it's been a minute since I've gone live. So I understand, when you're educated in the YouTube algorithms and stuff like that, when you haven't been going live or whatever the case may be, YouTube sees that you're not really doing anything. So, they kind of shift your, your, I guess, whatever to whatever you, frequently view, stuff like that. And that's fine. I mean, it's what it is. So if you could hit the unsubscribe, subscribe, and then hit the bell for notifications. Had to wet the soup cooler. So I might have sound bad when I said that, but whatever. All right, let me get to the comment section. So yeah, there were some comments that were left in here. So I'm going to look at the shorts first, and then
you said, from what I understand.
Okay. So this is on the, hey, what's going on? This is on the, where I was talking about attorneys on record. Attorneys on record? I'm sorry, attorneys on retainer out of Arizona. And why it doesn't make good sense, if you will, to have attorneys on retainer for me, and the students I teach and whatever's, why I could not in good conscience recommend that they come to Chicago and represent any of my students. I would never advocate for that company. I don't know anything about those two head attorneys, managing partners, whatever the case may be. I don't know anything about them personally, so this is not personal. But it's personal for me when I get into, or if I get into, a self-defense situation. See, that's one of the things that people don't take into consideration. It's not personal to those attorneys, right? But it's personal to you, your experience, your situation, your thing that you got into, went through, all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at that, let's go on ahead and dive into it. So somebody said, John Smith said, damn, USCCA must be paying you good, my dude. First of all, not getting paid at all, okay? Anybody who knows anything about me, you already know my mouth is very, I want to say reckless, but it's strategically reckless. These thoughts are my thoughts. I say what I feel. I try the best that I can. I'm not perfect, but I try the best that I can to speak from a position of what I know about, speak from a position of my experience, but I am definitely willing to learn. Definitely willing to learn. But it's free speech, okay? And I have the right to be wrong. I have the right to be ignorant. I shouldn't stay that way, right? I'm an open source learner. I'm definitely a person who loves education. And though I love education, not everyone can educate me, because does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because we all learn different ways. We all have different styles of learning. There is such a thing as the Dunning-Kruger effect, taking one thing and then thinking you know all about the entire thing from that one thing you learn. And then there's society and even cultures and even people's responses to people who know a thing and they are not met at where they are with what they know, and then encouraged and cultivated to want to learn more. You see what I'm saying? Society's response is when you claim that you know everything about that one thing, and then, yes, you are displaying a level of stupidity, which by definition simply means you are displaying a lack of intellect, or not intellect, but a lack of intelligence regarding this specific thing. What cultivates that person's willingness to want to continuously learn is not when you make them feel horrible about it. It's when you actually understand they know what they know. Ask them if they want to learn more. You get what I'm saying? I'm teaching, even now. Ask them if they want to learn more. Try to help them understand where they may be wrong, and ask them if they want to learn. But when people don't know how to teach people, you don't know how to get that possibility out of a person. You go right to shame, insults, guilt, the need to be right, all that other stuff, sign language. So saying all that to say this, no, I'm not bought or paid for by USCCA. Anybody who knows me knows that my positions and thoughts and stuff like that are so what they are, to the point where I'm not bought or paid for by anybody. You would never really want me to represent your company, if you will. Why do I say that? Because I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not conservative, I'm not liberal. I am an independent. It depends on the context of the position, my education about the position, even my miseducation about the position. I'm human, right? Those things could definitely sway my opinion, okay? And I am subject to shift. It just depends. This is why I'm an independent member of the Second Amendment community. Some of the things of the Second Amendment community I don't subscribe to. The F around and find out. No, you don't want to F around and find out. That should not be the purpose of being a person who subscribes to the Second Amendment, whatever the case may be, inalienable rights that should never be taken away, except by certain things, whatever the case may be. But F around and find out, why are we in the Second Amendment community, or why are those in the Second Amendment community even using that type of language? Don't get me wrong. Pry my firearm from my cold dead hands. I get the context, government intrusion on those rights, disarming the people. I get the context, but the language used, that's horrible, because it has several implications that comes with that. It seems as though you're wanting a conflict, wanting to engage in a conflict. And we in the Second Amendment community who are responsible gun owners should speak out against those things. Why are you going to look for a conflict? We know that there are members in the Second Amendment community who are going out and actually looking for conflict. Does that make sense? Can you guys hear me? Because I've been talking this entire time. I don't know. I only see like one comment. I don't even know if you all see me live or whatever. Do me a favor, sign up in the comments. Just type in the comments. Let me know if you are able to hear this before I continue to expend the energy, speaking on these comments. Hope you're having a good day. It's Sunday. Oh, okay. There we go, Andrew. Yeah. We know there are people in the Second Amendment community who are going out there looking for conflict. They're going out there looking for conflict. They're going out there looking for conflict. And when they're looking for conflict, next thing you know, you want USCCA, or that's bar raiser, not ball raiser. Yeah, bar raiser, not ball raiser. Oh, God. But they're going out there looking for conflict. You see what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, USCCA, you want them to back you, So let's continue with this comment. Here we go. If you're bought for and paid for, just say that. USCCA has been on too many people's crap list, and been keeping the wrong company for too long for anyone to trust them, especially when they're dropping people and their clients to have public defenders. An insurance company is the last thing you want to deal with when you need a lawyer. Okay, so let's address this comment, and that's what I'm doing. I'm addressing the comments, so we're going to be going one by one with these comments. Those that I feel are, worthy of a response. One, being on someone's crap list, that's subjective. That's subjective. You have the right to like or dislike what you want. Let's talk facts. Did you even really read the contract? You probably didn't. Two, did you understand what you were reading? You probably did not, right? What you understand is what you understand, right? Ignorance by definition means generally unknowing. You just don't know about this particular thing. You see what I'm saying? Then you've got two, just because you read it, does that mean you understand it? I love to play this game with my clients. I do more than teach firearms. I have, anger management, emotional management, parenting, a variety of other, behavioral management clients. And I love to play what I think it means versus what it actually means. Just ask someone the definition of something. And first of all, before you ask that, you better know what it means in the dictionary. Just ask them what they think it means, or what does it mean? And they'll give you something that may be totally off from what the actual word means. You see what I'm saying? And so if you don't know what words mean by definition, I know for a fact your comprehension of what you read is totally off. Does that make sense? Now, that's not the case for everyone, but that is the case for certain people. And so if your ignorance causes you to put someone on the crap list, well, that's a list well deserved, because you're not the type of client that, let's just say if I was an insurer, right? I don't know if I would want you as a client because you're a liability. Does that make sense? Like, your ignorance, some people say ignorance is bliss, right? Okay, we know what that means. The less you know, the better. But in certain cases, ignorance is highly volatile. It makes you easily inflamed. It makes you easily inflamed. It makes you, oh man, you're on my crap list, or I don't like what you said, or I'm offended, or I'm this. Why? Because you're ignorant. Your ignorance keeps you on edge. Does that make sense? All right, let's push on. An insurance company is the last thing you want to deal with when you need a lawyer. Actually, that's the first thing you want to deal with when you need a lawyer, because who's going to pay for a great attorney? You don't have the money. Let's talk facts. You go to work every day. You know, you make an honest living. You know, you make what you make. Your money goes towards your family. It goes towards, you know, the car notes and the bills and the things that, and then your pleasures or whatever you engage in, stuff like that. Your money goes towards this thing. All of a sudden, somebody comes out, or you go out of this establishment. Somebody decides they want to attack you, and then you intuitively do what you have to do to defend yourself. You didn't go looking for this conflict. You didn't go, and then next thing you know, they want to charge you with a crime. Now you got to go look for a lawyer, but you're under the influence of stress. You're under the influence of stress. So when you're under the influence of stress because of what you're going through, right? And that's if you even made it out on bond, right? You're under the influence of stress, and now you're in a rush to find a lawyer. Well, when you're in a rush to find a lawyer, oh, you'll find a lawyer. Is this lawyer qualified for the attacks that the state is going to bring against you? Are they qualified? You see what I'm saying? It's not hard to find a lawyer. Finding a lawyer is the easiest thing to do. Finding a highly qualified lawyer who can help you get a great outcome is what costs money. You probably don't have it. You see what I'm saying? So who do you think is going to pay that fee? He said he picked this up on the streets for $35. Oh, that's possible. That's possible. Come on. Find a lawyer is not going to be the issue. Paying for a high quality one that actually specializes in the subject that you're going to face when you go into court, and who has the relationships with the players in that specific jurisdiction. There have been plenty of attorneys who have said, you know, I can represent you. How many people understand that self-defense is a community concept? Come on now. Self-defense is a community standard. In that jurisdiction where you are being tried, what does that community and the law and the lawyers and what do they think about what you did? I teach this all the time in my classes. There's reason, right, and reasonable. Reason, right, reasonable. Here we go. Reason. Everybody has a reason to do something. That's subjective, right? Is it right? Well, that's where you have the law, statutory law. You've got case law, stuff like that, right? There's two different bodies of law. You got appellate law, a variety of different other kinds of laws, and even administrative, right? Even administrative, right? You've got different kinds of laws that govern the right to do something, right? And then is it reasonable? The reasonableness of something is a community standard, right? Reasonableness. Where have you heard that term reasonable from? You've heard objective reasonableness. Graham versus Connor. With the objective that you are trying to achieve as a law enforcement officer in this stop, is your actions reasonable in proportion to what objective you were trying to achieve? You see what I'm saying? If you're trying to give a traffic ticket, is it reasonable? In other words, would other officers, if put in that same situation, would they have done the thing that you did? Would we as a society say the thing that you did was reasonable? Reasonable is not assessed by you. Reasonable is assessed by the triers of fact, be it a judge or a jury. You don't have to believe me. Ask your lawyer. This video is going to stay up. Bring this video to your lawyer. Ask him, is he right? Your lawyer will say, yes, He is right. Graham versus Connor is objective reasonableness. Now, same standard, a little bit, exists in a civilian context. The reasonableness of the force used, the proportionality of the force used, those things are concepts that if you don't understand it, it's okay to be you and where you are. But you have to recognize you couldn't even see the red flags coming, right? So now all of a sudden you're ready to handle the closure. Your situational awareness was lacking, but all of a sudden you're ready to pick a good lawyer. You see what I'm saying? Okay, let's continue. Here we go. Okay, so here's another comment that I'm definitely going to respond to. Here we go. Yes, it makes sense. Now you can read these comments right here. They're on my page. Yes, it makes sense in theory. And this is when I'm talking about relationships, right? Yes, it makes sense in theory. But when you are in mad need of an attorney, now, would you rather pick one from the phone book? Oh, wait, there are no more phone books. No, Mike, you're not looking at this straight, or you're trolling attorneys on record or attorneys on retainer. Well, I'm not trolling. That's not what I do. Okay. I just speak, I teach, whatever the case may be. Here we go. You said, yes, it makes sense. In theory, when you are in mad need of an attorney now, would you rather pick one from the phone book? Well, that's what you end up doing when you call yourself thinking, when you call yourself thinking that you're able to pick a great lawyer, right? You're under stress. You don't know anything about the legal system. You don't know it. You know what you see on TV, but you don't know anything about the legal system. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. You don't know about the relationships that you're not at these parties. And that's okay. You don't have to be at these parties, but take that mindset and look at other things in society. This is not just specific to the law community. This is specific to every culture, right? Every culture, the values, the symbols, the language, the norms and rituals, the material culture. This is what you don't understand about the legal community, picking the right kind of lawyer. See, you may pick a lawyer that the legal system doesn't like. Let me give you an example. So we just had an election, obviously. You know, you had a presidential election where, you know, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, whatever the case may be. But here in Cook County, and I think in every county, whatever the case may be, but I'm just speaking on my most recent experience. You've got a slate of judges. See, sometimes people don't understand that judges are politicians too. Come on now. Come on. I don't think you understand that. Judges are politicians too. They are not like, well, at the county, state level, so to speak. They're politicians too. Do you know in Cook County, right? And I can't speak for other counties. I'm just speaking on my experience and what I know to be true and what I've seen, right? Here we go. If, right, you don't understand, Darian, I'll answer your question in a minute, okay? Here we go. And I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question because that's a wonderful question, okay? Here we go. You don't understand that judges are politicians too. And in order for judges to even come close to being elected or even appointed to the bench, they have to have relationships with the other judges, right? These judges were lawyers, especially in Cook County. I have not met a judge yet who was not a lawyer. These judges in Cook County, the county seat of Chicago, right? Lawyers, which means they have to have relationships. You may not understand, but these lawyers rate these judges who they practice law before, right? Now, a bad rating doesn't necessarily mean you won't be reelected because that's the election of the people deciding who gets to be a judge. But for those who actually pay attention to the Chicago Bar Association, Cook County Bar Association, Illinois State Bar Association, then you have your different cultural, the Latino Bar Association. You got all these different bars. Those are all relationships. They pay attention to how these lawyers practice law in their different areas of specialization before these judges and how the judges actually interact with the lawyers. One of the worst things that you could actually have working against you is when you have a lawyer that has a bad history with that judge. You, as the client, you don't know this guy or lady is here smelling good, looking good. They sounded really well when they were in the office with you, and they sounded like, I got your back. I'm going to go before the courts and the this and the that. You don't know there could be beef between these two. You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know if this is a lawyer like Dave McDermott. I'll give you Dave McDermott. Dave McDermott has, oh my God, the man is outstanding. He is out. He cost a pretty freaking penny. Oh my God, he costs money, but he is outstanding and he wins. I've seen him personally before I even became a member of USCCA. Before I even became a member, I was a police officer in Cook County. And I've seen Dave McDermott. The way he looks now is the way he looked back then. He would stand out and stand apart from a lot of different lawyers because of the way he dresses and the way. But when that man speaks in front of a jury, in front of a judge, he commands attention. There's another judge who's on the bench. John Fitzgerald, John Fitzgerald Judge Like. I remember him when he was a criminal defense attorney. Man, he is outstanding. And then for him to make the bench during COVID, when he was not pretrial. I think it was pretrial. Yes. When people would get locked up for felonies and stuff like that, or even misdemeanors, just to hear the way he ruled from the bench, outstanding. Who's another Judge Rubio? There's a lot of, you see what I'm saying? And so you don't understand the relationships that the police officers and the detectives have with the lawyers. You see what I'm saying? Just imagine if you sit there and you're in interrogation and you're like, I want to speak to my lawyer. Who's your lawyer? Dave McDermott. Some of these a percentage of these police officers know as soon as you invoke the name of Dave McDermott, you better have your stuff together because Dave's going to attack it. He's going to attack it vigorously. He's going to attack. Now, don't get me wrong. You better not have been somebody who went out there and started that conflict. You see what I'm saying? You better not have been the aggressor. And there's an offer of proof that the state can present before Dave and the court that, you were definitely the aggressor. You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I'm saying what I'm saying because I'm speaking from experience. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking from education and experience. Be the aggressor and see, come on, man. Be like Kayla Giles. You know, that's the one case people who don't like USCCA love talking about Kayla. Be the one who wants to delete your husband and then look for USCCA insurance to all of a sudden front you and help you out. And then they pay the bond. And then all of a sudden the facts and the circumstances come out and they find out, oh, you was just trying to get us to cover you. Gotta drop you. Gotta drop you. You were the aggressor. Come on, bro. We see your move. You front your move. And you weren't even the type of person who was sneaky about it. You were using open source information that could be easily traced and tracked because you don't know the system and you don't know how investigations happen. Does that make sense? Come on, man. They did what they were supposed to do, dropping her, and that was a responsible thing to do. No more than any insurance company would drop you if you're going out driving recklessly, looking for accidents to get into just so you can get the insurance claim, just so you can get the injury, just so you can get the money that comes from a lawsuit, bro. No, they ain't going with that. They supposed to drop you. You see what I'm saying? So I said what I said. Here we go. Now, Quantiples, another comment in here. He said, I don't even like this guy. He's referring to me, which is fine. You have a right not to like me. I love you too. In fact, when you say you don't like me, I highly value you. When you say you don't like me, I highly value you. Why? Because I know the true definition of respect. So this is a sidebar conversation. The true definition of respect in the dictionary is a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by attributes, qualities, achievements, whatever the case may be, right? The things you like deeply about a person. And then the second definition of that is due regard for someone else's feelings. That's the definition of respect. You may not have been taught that, so you only have your experience as to what you think respect is, which may not be the definition. One, you don't have to like me. And that's okay. I am okay with you not liking me. I'm not going to attack you. And if I've attacked you before, I apologize. I'm not going to attack you. You have the right not to like me, and you have the right not to be concerned about my feelings. You have the right not to be concerned about my feelings. So I highly value that he opened with this. I love it. Let's continue with the comment. I don't even like this guy, but he's right. But for mostly for smaller towns. It's actually for bigger towns too. And you could tell he edited the comment because I have the snapshot of his first comment. So he didn't say, but mostly for smaller towns, but he just edited that. It seems to be absolutely ridiculous that these relationships matter when we all think the law matters and being in the right matters. Now that I have ties to lots of lawyers and the court system, I'm seeing how they're all actually friends, whether they are on the defense side or prosecution side or a judge or whatever. He is 1,000% correct. And let me ask you his question. Let me ask you this question. Even though he edited to say small towns, let me ask you this. Are there more bigger cities in America or small towns? There are more small towns. Where are you likely going to get charged, whatever the case may be? Possibly in your small town. You see what I'm saying? And so those relationships matter. It's a community standard, right? It's a community standard. Whether or not you actually get convicted. Can y'all do me a favor? Can you hit that like button if you value this conversation? You don't have to if you don't want to. But can you all hit that like button? I got 72 people watching, 9 likes. Could you do the algorithm a favor? If you value this conversation and you want this conversation to go where it needs to go, to hit the people that it needs to hit the ears that it needs to hit, because this is a valuable conversation with education and experience so that people can choose the right thing. I have nothing against the specific attorneys on retainer, but you need to understand that when you're getting someone from Arizona and you're in a place like Chicago or a place where there's a high crime area like Detroit or Maryland or any of these other places, attorneys on retainer, you have to ask yourself this question. Give them a call and ask them, do you have relationships with these people? Can you explain to me some cases that you won? Who do you know? They should be able to cite names and certain, not going into details into the backroom deals, but they should be able to cite names and offices and things. Oh, well, let me look it up. Now they don't have to look anything up. They should be able to, it should just come freely. Why? Because they have experience in these areas. You cannot afford. And then that's the thing too, is that somebody in the comments said, in one of my other videos, my live video that spawned me making this video right here, they said, well, they will sit first chair. They will sit first chair. You know what first chair means. I don't have to explain that. You know anything first chair. That means they're the lead. They are going to take the lead in your criminal case and let the attorney from where you are be second chair. You don't want somebody nobody knows trying to take first chair in your case. They don't know. How are you going to lead this? Does that make sense? Right. Let's look at O.J. Simpson, whether you think he did it or think he didn't do it, whatever. Let's look at this, right? Robert Shapiro, and this is a criminal case, right? Robert Shapiro, a person who really didn't try criminal cases, took the lead in the beginning because he was a deal maker, if you will. Well, he picked the wrong attorney. Robert Shapiro, O.J. Simpson, picked the wrong attorney. What did you have to do? And this is a perfect example of relationships. A perfect example of relationships. What happened? Johnny Cochran didn't even want to take the case at first, right? But what happened? He ended up taking the case. Was the greatest thing for O.J. Simpson. Whether you think he did it or you think he didn't do it, it was the greatest thing for O.J. Simpson because Johnny Cochran was able to relate to the jury. You see what I'm saying? Johnny Cochran was able to relate to the judge, so to speak, right? Relationships. Lance Ito, right? Marsha Clark didn't like Johnny, but what does that mean, right? They worked in the same office. LA County District Attorney. He was the deputy district attorney, or I think the assistant DA at a time, right? He was not a popular attorney to certain people, but a popular attorney for things involving police misconduct. Does that make sense? So then there was a situation where, with Mark Furman and the tapes, where he said the N-word and then lied about it on the stand and stuff like that. What happened? Johnny Cochran and F. Lee Bailey had to go to North Carolina to try to get those tapes. What did Johnny Cochran do? I'm first chair. I'm first chair. I'm first chair. Now he's sitting and arguing in North Carolina where they don't see you like LA sees you. LA County is different from this county. And so what happened? F. Lee Bailey didn't argue. He let Johnny Cochran just say his stuff. And what did the judge say? There's no need for this gratuitous alliteration. These tapes are not relevant in your case. What did he do? He didn't let him get those tapes, right? What did F. Lee Bailey have to tell them? I don't know if you understand, but here in North Carolina, you don't play as well in Dixie. You don't play as well in Dixie. So what did they have to do? They had to file an emergency motion to take it to the appellate court. And what happened? F. Lee Bailey, a white man, had to argue in front of a appellate court, right? I don't think it was the full en banc. I hope I'm using the term right, but I don't think it was the full court. But I think he had to argue before 3 of the 7, right? And what happened? They got the tapes. You see what I'm saying? You need diversity in certain areas. You need relationships in certain. Your lawyer may not play as well in the county where your situation your lawyer may have a horrible relationship. We're still dealing with humans. We're still dealing with humans, and you need somebody who understands that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I'm not bringing attorneys on retainer here to cook. They don't know you. In the time that I've been in the court, never seen you. Never, and that's the thing. If you're in the courthouse, you know that there are attorneys that you see all the time. You see how they act in courts. You always see them on TV. You always see them, here and there, and they've got wins. Sierra Norris is another attorney in Chicago. Oh my God, she wins. Oh my God, she wins. Is she popular amongst other attorneys? Probably not, because she's got some street in her. You see what I'm saying? She's got some street in her. But guess what? She's able to take that class of street and that class of being a lawyer, and she's able to be a vociferous advocate for you in the court. And she wins. She knows how the police operates. She knows the ignorance of a good percentage of these officers and how they operate, what they constantly rely on. Man, I'm telling you I'm telling you what I know to be true. Let them who have an ear, let them hear. Let them who have an ear, let them hear. Some of you live in safe spaces. The likelihood of you getting involved in something is you got 1,000,001 chance to get involved in something. Kudos for you. But the rest of us who live in high gang, high narcotic, high crime areas, you cannot afford to drop USCCA and go with attorneys on retainer, because they're in Arizona. They're only admitted to practice law in 2 areas, Arizona and Hawaii. They're not even admitted in the other 48 states. You see what I'm saying? So Sierra Norris, that's her name, Sierra Norris. She's an amazing attorney. She's an amazing attorney, and she puts others around her. That law firm, man, I'm telling you, look, there's some amazing attorneys and then there's some that'll walk you to jail. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't get some of these attorneys to represent a ham sandwich. They will literally hand you over to the courts for the courts to eviscerate you. Okay? You don't need that. Okay, here's another comment. Does it make sense for USCCA to drop clients when their clients need them the most? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Remember what I talked about when I said, yeah, that's her name. Remember what I talked about when I said there are some people, clients, if you will, right, who go around looking for violence to get into? Do me a favor, tap the screen. Do me a favor, tap the like button if you want this conversation to go someplace. Tap the like button if you valued the message, whatever the case may be. Share this. Of course, I'm going to save this, clip this, all this stuff, right? Share this, share this, share this. Here we go. Yes, remember how I told you there are some clients who go around looking for violence? Remember how I told you there are some clients who go around looking for problems? Remember how I told you there are some clients who, here we go. You've been law-abiding all this time, but the people you hang around are not. And they're your friends, whether you grew up with them, whatever the case may be, but you don't change the environment where now you're going to be carrying a firearm. See, there's a different kind of mindset that needs to happen when you're carrying a firearm. If your senses were in tuned before, your senses definitely have to be highly in tuned now, because you have the tool to be able to Yes, you get it. Those FAFO2A guys, which is F around and find out, will F around and find out and hire the wrong attorney. And they will F around and find out. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I've seen, right? Because those of us as police officers, while we're sitting here waiting on our case to be called, guess what we do? We watch your case. We watch these other cases. We watch the way these lawyers interact with their clients. We especially those of us. Now, not every police officer is intellectually smart, or skilled in the, and interested in the court system and how it works and understands what lawyers do and the case law. I mean, if you doubt me, you should be a fly on the wall in some of this in-service training. You should be a fly on the wall in some of this academy training. Like there are no pun intended. I don't know, whatever. But there are some ignorant police officers for sure. Like the best you can do is strap on a gun and go respond to a call. That's the best you can do. Like anything I say, you need law enforcement. All right, let me stop because then people get offended. But you get what I'm saying. But we watch your case. We watch when you come before. I remember sitting in prelim. So here we go. We're in prelim. So if you don't know what prelim is, all right, in a felony case, and I'm just explaining to you in Cook County. So the felony arrest is made, right, provided it's approved by the state's attorney felony review. And this is when I was a detective. So you're sitting in prelim, and not every case after the arrest, the person goes to bond court. This is when we had cash bond. Now we have no cash bond. That's a different conversation. But, if you get bond, cool. If you don't get bond, all right, whatever's. And I'm not saying cool for the system. I'm saying cool for you, I guess, whatever, right? But then the next step is either a preliminary hearing to establish if there's probable cause to bind it over for trial and assign it to a trial court and a trial judge, or if there's a no finding of probable cause and the case dies there. What the state's attorney has the ability to do is supersede the preliminary hearing by indictment, right? So what happens, and I've been here before too, where the detective or the police officer who was primary on the case and knows a lot about the case, they are given a subpoena to come to the grand jury in Cook County. It's 26 in California. And you go before the grand jury, which is just the prosecution and you or whomever, whatever witnesses, and you're going before a grand jury, right? People impaneled to hear cases and deliver or decide a true bill or a no true bill. True bill is an indictment. This case is indicted. The grand jury believes that there's enough probable cause, which is by definition facts and circumstances known to the officer, facts and circumstances presented to the grand jury to say there's enough probable cause. We believe the officer did the right thing, which the grand jury doesn't really know. They don't know. It's just their experience, what we believe. Good luck. That's why they say a grand jury would indict a ham sandwich. That's the reason why. They don't know anything about case law. They don't know anything about statutory law. It's basically an experience, morality. We believe they're right. We believe you're right. All right, cool. So you go before the grand jury. You testify, as to the facts and circumstances that you are prepped by the state's attorney as to what you're going to testify to and stuff like that. You're not told to lie. I've never been told to lie. But you're testifying to what you know. And then they indict, right? So that supersedes the preliminary hearing. And what happens is when the defendant with their counsel or the public defender comes before the court, case is called, name is called, attorney is stepping up for the client. Your Honor, for the record, I'm going to use my name. Your Honor, for the record, Mike Brown seeking leave to file my appearance to stand before, seeking leave to file my appearance in stanter before the court. My client is here. We are answering ready for preliminary hearing. Oh, this happens at bond court. They don't have to enter their appearance. They've entered their appearance by that time, and they're ready for preliminary hearing. Well, the state's attorney would say, they pick up a piece of paper, and they say, Your Honor, this matter has been superseded by indictment. And then the judge would just ask for the specific case number, the new assigned case number for the grand jury indictment. And then the case would be assigned to a court, a judge, and then you'll get your next date. Okay. But for those matters that are now superseded by indictment, And then you got your lawyer that's answering ready for the preliminary hearing. What happens? It's like a little mini trial. The state talks to the officer and they talk about certain things and what they expect to be able to prove. And they're not making an argument. They're just questioning the officer, stuff like that. When they're questioning the officer, now that opens that officer up for cross-examination by the attorney, right? And there are those of us who are watching this back and forth. And when we see you, right, and we see this, there was this one attorney. She was the worst. Oh my God, she was the worst. Oh, shit. When we see you walk up with your attorney and we know the outcomes of these cases, you think law enforcement is a big, small community. The court system is a big, small community. We talk to judges too, right? There have been plenty of times where the cases have been over with and we're talking to the judge when they're off the bench and we're just sitting there hanging around. We talk to judges. We talk to the lawyers. Look, we attend the same parties in certain cases. You don't understand that. But we see this lawyer and we're like, oh, she's about to fuck him. This is going to be horrible. But we don't show it. We don't show it to you. We just look at each other. We're like, all right, here we go. We're back. I had a call come through. I thought it might have knocked me off the live. Sound off in the comments if you can still hear me. So, yeah, we just look at the other. We're like, and then we just watch. We just watch. We're sitting here and she was horrible on cross-examination. She's just horrible on cross-examination, asking all the wrong questions. You know, so by watching this, we know she gonna end up talking you right into pleading guilty. And the thing is, I see like even the guys in the streets know which attorneys to pick. Especially if you a criminal. Like if you a criminal, you know which lawyers to go to. Does that make, oh, come on. If the criminals know which lawyers to go to, I guarantee you the criminals are sitting here like, boy, ain't no way I'm about to sit there and pick these goof asses from Arizona. They don't know nothing about this system. They don't know nothing about Judge Flattery. They don't know nothing about Judge Sklarowitz. They don't know nothing about Judge Like. They don't know nothing about this judge. Boy, I'm not going. I don't know. We don't know you. No new friends. No new faces. I'm sticking with Sierra. I'm sticking with John. I'm sticking with, you know, they just naming. I'm not going. We're not bringing no new friends. No new friends. No new friends. So if the guys in the streets know this, why don't you? As a criminal justice professor, you know, as a former cop, you know, detective, whatever the case may be, right? This is why I am not one of those persons that crap on people who are engaged in criminal behavior. They are people too. There are things that you can learn from them too that can help you in your life. They can tell you how you was lacking. Hey, what? Look. Whole time, this how we caught your ass. You wasn't even paying attention. Woo wop the bam. They came, saw you, came around, skirt, pulled up, bop, got you. You know the language you have to learn, but they'll teach you. Like, boy, I don't know why you would ever go with this person. Don't nobody know this. Boy, I ain't never seen. My mans ain't never seen. Ain't nobody ever seen this person around the court. We don't know you. No new friends. Fuck that. We going with Sierra. We going with these other folks. We going with Dave McDermott. We going with whomever. We going with John Fairman. And John Fairman is no longer a criminal defense. He's a lawyer now. I mean, he's a judge on the bench. You know what I'm saying? We going with Perkins. We going with, you know, I'm just dropping names. We going with these other people. I don't know you. We going with Dan Webb, or he's a former federal prosecutor. You know, we going with different folks. We not going with this person out of Arizona. What? This ain't Arizona. This is Illinois. This is Illinois. This is a different state, different county. All right, so does it make sense for USCCA to drop their clients when their clients need them the most? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. It makes sense to drop them. Yeah, because if you're going around looking for foolishness, no, we don't want you. And any insurance company, any company would drop you if you're going out there looking for a conflict. We ain't got time. You a liability. See, some of y'all carrying guns are liabilities. You just ain't been caught. Some of y'all carrying guns are liabilities. You just have not been caught. And if USCCA has to be the first entity that catches you, Does that make sense? If USCCA has to be the first entity that catches you because you should have been dropped long ago, hey, I'm cool with that. Does that make sense? Like some of the people who come before me, they don't deserve to be carrying guns. It's not a thing of an inalienable right. It's like you need therapy. You got an anger management issue. You're easily to be gaslit, if that makes sense. You got gas leaks in your life, the psychological discontinuity. You got a lot of different things in your life that you need to address before you even pick up a gun. So when I reject a person from class or I don't give them a certificate, I'm the first line of defense when you come into my class that protects the Second Amendment community, because not everybody needs a gun. You got some instructors out here who's just giving out certificates for those 5-star reviews, giving out those certificates for just 5-star reviews. They don't assess behavior. Hell, you don't even want certain conflict in your class. With me, I invite certain conflict in my class that's controllable and measurable, because I know how to turn up the gas and turn down the gas just to find out. Like, and sometimes when I have classes and I sense a weakness or a person that has, and they can be easily triggered by certain things, I'll say that reckless ass shit in class just to light you up, just to see if I could trigger you, and then I'll just simmer it down and then just tell you have a good day. Why? Because if I was able to gaslight you and set a match to a gas leak that you already have, whoosh, yes. Let me go ahead and extinguish that, not with the gun, but with the fire extinguisher. Let me extinguish that. You don't need a gun. 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 Does that make sense? You don't need a gun. I'm sorry. You don't need a gun. Have a good day. I'm not going to argue with you. Now, that don't mean you can't go somewhere else and get certified. You absolutely can, but you're not going to have my name on your certificate. And there have been plenty of people I have kicked out of class respectfully by simply lowering that voice, telling them have a good day, and they don't get invited back until I see a difference in personality. And I'm going to ask certain questions. Why? I'm qualified to do that. I don't just teach firearms. I teach a lot of things in the behavioral management space. I'm educated in that space. So not everybody who comes to every instructor deserves to have a gun. But if you're a instructor who's just only on guns and you're ignorant to behavior, you just passing out certificates to get that 5-star review, passing out certificates to get that 5-star review, passing out certificates to get that 5-star review. I don't want to do that. Do me a favor, hit that like button. I don't want to do that. Does that make sense? All right, here we go. So yes, does it make sense for USCCA to drop their clients when they need them the most? Yes, because when you need them the most doesn't mean that you earned that right to need them. Let me give you an example. You going around looking for something to get into. You going around looking for something to get into, and all of a sudden you get into that thing and then expect USCCA to come save you in that thing. Yeah, you may need them the most, but you were also the aggressor in that circumstance, in that situation. Yes, it makes sense for them to drop you. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because here we go. If you think that your defense of self in the courts, if you think your defense of self in the courts isn't going to come without being questioned, you don't know the legal system. Here we go. You can get a lawyer to still represent you even though you are wrong. But does that mean that insurance should pay you when you were the aggressor? No. And here's the reason why I say that. The USCCA, they have the Protector Academy. They have plenty of instructors, myself being one as well. I'm not exclusively a USCCA instructor only. I'm an instructor by several different disciplines. You see what I'm saying? In several different licensing entities, if you will. I'm saying all that to say this. You got those who, yes, you said, I agree. There are those who need to be educated on the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how of the 2A before they carry. No, I haven't forgotten to answer your question, Darren, but thank you for still being here, right? And do me a favor, hit the like button, please, right? Here we go. If you're going out there looking, they got the Protector Academy. They've got other instructors like or better than me. I'm humble. I stay in my lane. But they got people who are better than me who will tell you, hey, look, we will encourage you. It's better to avoid the dragon than to try to slay it. It's better to avoid the dragon than to try to slay it. It's better to walk away from that angry woman, walk away from that angry man, or better yet, not even go to those places and those areas where violence is a part of their culture. because you avoid that. Do you need to go over there? No, you don't need to go over there. You want to go over there. There are certain people in the Second Amendment community, they can't wait to try out their newfound tactic or their skill or their new gun to F around and find out. That was a thing in law enforcement, right? I remember attending this taser training as a taser or a newly a taser instructor candidate. And there's stats where, when the taser was being used, Axon International, which was then called Taser International, they talked about it in training that when taser first came out, there was a overabundance of taser usage. Why? Officers wanted to see if it worked. Second Amendment community is the same way. Any type of skill where you're defending yourself or stopping, it's the same thing. There are deeply rooted psychological issues that you may not even know, and your instructor, teacher may not have even been able to spot within you, that you have to deal with as to why you're going to look for this conflict. Is it very much a desire to win because in childhood you were never allowed to win when you did win, not a participation trophy, but you were never allowed to win? Is the need to always get into a verbal conflict with someone based on your childhood, adverse childhood experiences where you were told you were to be seen and not heard and your voice was denied, and you are now an adult and you're ready to argue with people? Why? Because that's a thing of standing up for yourself. You see what I'm saying? You had to fight your family and now you're going to fight people, and you can't wait to get into a fight because every time you get into a fight, you're proving your worth. You're proving your value. You're proving you're someone. And now with this gun, I ain't got to run no more. I wish a mug would. And you know what culture that heavily exists in? Black culture. Now I know I done pissed some of y'all off. I'm not talking about black history. Modern black culture cultivates conflict. That's why our communities are so violent. And they continue to blame it on the white man when the white man ain't got shit to do with the reason why Tyrone's trying to rob or you get what I'm saying, grape this woman. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You're doing this as a power struggle. You're in a conflict with yourself. You're in a conflict with your adverse childhood experiences. And now you got this gun. Oh, I wish a mother would. I wish a mother would. You know, without that gun, you wouldn't go down that alley. Now you got that gun and you go into all the dangerous blocks with your USCCA card in your pocket. Yes, they're supposed to drop you. Yes, they're supposed to drop you. You going around looking for conflict. You ain't changing your behavior. You still engaging in illicit substances. You hanging around with people you know you shouldn't be hanging around with, but they're your friends. They're the ones who's going to put you in the valley of the shadow of death. It's your choice. It's your choice. And so do we, the responsible members of USCCA, don't get me wrong, we value you as a person. But do we value your behavior? No. Do we want USCCA to? No. No. Because you're going to fuck it up for the rest of us. We're not going to look for that stuff. No. And let's take it away from gun insurance, self-defense insurance. Would you want your car insurance or medical insurance or any kind of insurance that you have to be paying out claims for reckless people? Would you want them to just take anybody? No assessment? Context. I get it. But you get what I'm saying though, right? Come on, man. Come on. We got to have that conversation. All right. Let me get to some of these other comments. There was another one. I hope you all are valuing this conversation. Yeah, here we go. Let's talk USCCA. All right, good. So here's another. I'm on the video. Let's talk USCCA. And for those asking you all about me losing weight, I've been working out. I've been working out. So I'm not on Ozempic or any of those shots you put in your stomach. I've been working out. I run. Matter of fact, if you go back and look at my content, right, I've got videos of me running. Those of you all, how many of you all been following what you've been seeing, if not on this platform, other platforms, and you know what I'm saying in terms of me working out to be true? You know, there's no Ozempic None of that stuff. This is just diet and exercise. I'm a vegetarian. You see what I'm saying? I do a lot of running. I run a 5K damn near every day except on Wednesday. I do a 10K. I've been working out. I've lost weight because I didn't want to be overweight anymore. That's why I look this way. There's no sickness. Some of you all can tell in my face. My face used to have certain discolorations. My diet was horrible. My diet was horrible. And so that's why I looked the way I looked. And thanks to some of you in the comments when I would be live and you would ask me certain questions like, Mike, do you have diabetes? And I would be like, boy, I don't have no diet. And then all of a sudden I looked it up. I don't have diabetes, but the food that I was eating, I was definitely on the road to being a diabetic. I am happy to report, my blood pressure is so much greater. Oh my God, I am so much more healthier because I've changed my diet. And the right kinds of exercises given where you are. I'm not running miles if I'm overweight and top heavy. I'm putting pressure on my knees. I'm hurting my joints. I'm hurting my body unnecessarily. There are low impact, high heart rate exercises that you can do over time. True weight loss, the right kind of weight loss, is a process. And we live in a microwave society where you want those results right away. That's not true weight loss. You're going to lose weight loss the unhealthy way because you have not attacked your habits. When I encourage people how to lose weight, focus on two things: heart rates and habits. Diet. You gained it in the kitchen, you got to lose it in the kitchen. Heart rate and habits. Find your fat burning heart rate. Whatever exercise you do, you got to get into the habit of doing it and keep that exercise for at least 30 minutes a day within that fat burning heart rate. You do that and then you start working on your diet. If it breathed the same air I breathe, I don't want it. I don't want beef. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't a heavy beef eater, but I love me some tacos. I had to get rid of that. Now I do vegan tacos. The beans and stuff, it's just changing my diet. Oh my God, my skin is so much clearer. Oh, I just feel, y'all see the structure. I used to have a beard. I had the beard to hide my fat neck. I don't have a problem saying that. We're going to get back to this. I had the beard to hide my fat neck. My neck ain't fat no more. I still got certain imperfections that comes with living. But man, look, can't nobody tell, look, look, y'all see it, y'all know, okay? So I said what I said. Here we go. So this is one comment I'm definitely going to read. Brooks R4013. He said, I've heard a lot of negative things about USCCA. I'm going to get to you, Darren, because that's the only reason why you're here is you're not interacting with me. You're just here to just ask questions, but you're not interacting with me. So I'm going to address your questions. And then if I don't see some interaction, I'll take further steps when we cross that bridge. I have heard a lot of negative things about USCCA because of a couple of high-profile cases that they left their client high and dry. My personal experience has been positive. My wife and I are a member of USCCA. We had a case where she was attacked at work, the gas station. She pulled out her firearm. She did not shoot the guy, but she hit him upside the head with her pistol in a struggle. The police arrested her, a senior citizen, believe it or not, and charged her with an assault with a deadly weapon. That charge does make sense. USCCA lawyer got her off. Then, almost a year and a half later, a civil suit was filed against her from someone to try to stop the altercation, and the USCCA took that case on also. They have stood behind my wife. It is cases like that and others that I know of and have read about that I will never presently advocate for anything else in this area than USCCA. when you see the wins and you see the results of responsible people who's not going to look for conflict. She was at work, not him, his wife. And she had her firearm, wasn't looking for it. She didn't shoot him. She pistol whipped him. That's a thing. I don't be talking about that you should pistol whoop a person. But she did it. That's a thing, right? She pistol whooped him. And it worked, right? How'd she get arrested? See, some people don't understand that. Don't get me wrong. Used to be law enforcement, true blue, all that stuff. There's some ignorant folks in law enforcement who should not be. You don't know the reason why an officer will arrest you. You don't know the reason why a state's attorney or a district attorney or a Commonwealth attorney will choose to charge you. There are a lot of variables that control these, both good and bad, subjectively and objectively. You don't know, right? Those are not your life task. If we're looking at things from an Adlerian perspective, Alfred Adler, those are not your life task. Your life task is not to worry about whether or not someone is doing things for the right reason, the wrong thing. Don't get me wrong. Inquire, sure. Inquire, sure. Inquire, sure. But your life task is to worry about when the ignorant, when the immoral, when the illegal do what they do. Your life task, according to Alfred Adler, Adlerian psychology, which I am an Adlerian therapeutic educator and a proponent of that, Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius, we could go all day in that space. You see what I'm saying? When people do their stuff, what will you do to handle that and have a balance of equanimity? Equanimity. Being able to keep calm in distressful situations. Having a cool and calm head and being able to have the resources to do what you need to do and have a higher likelihood to see it through. You don't control the arrest. Someone else does. Well, that's a shame that police. Yes, okay, that's a position you take. That's fine. You'll be getting toxic stress trying to argue those points because your judgment of the circumstance and the fact that it exists, is the reason you should be prepared, not your judgment or assessment of this thing and how it's immoral or moral, good or bad, this or that. Look, when it happens, can I fix the problem? When it happens, right, do I have something that is going to more likely than not ensure a successful outcome? Not perfect, more likely than not. Sometimes the justice you get is from the appeal. Sometimes the justice that you will get, depending on the context, could come from the appeal. Sometimes you may get convicted and the case gets overturned on appeal. I've had those cases. It gets overturned on appeal. Maybe the lawyer doesn't do the right thing. Maybe it's a procedural error. Maybe it's a catastrophic error where the appellate court, the Supreme Court, they find that, hey, this is a travesty of justice. We have to right this wrong. Maybe it takes a year or two. Maybe it takes 5. Maybe it takes 10. That's the system. That's the system that we have. That's the system that we have. All right, Darren, what are your questions? Let me go back to your question. You said, I'm listening, I'm asking questions as well. That's considered interactive. All right, that's fair. I'm thinking about joining USCCA, so I'm asking random questions. You do understand that, I know that as a trained interrogator, do me a favor, hit that like button, y'all. As a trained interrogator, you do understand that I understand that there are motives behind questions. That's what my mentors are lawyers of various disciplines. Now, those are not my only mentors, but I got family law attorneys, criminal law attorneys, a variety of different people. Lev Vygotsky, this is early childhood education, more knowledgeable others. I have others that I go to that have trained me and continuously train me to this day to understand questionings and motives behind questions. So you got to think like a lawyer. So I think about the motive behind the question before I even answer it. Instructor Mike, if you borrow a legal gun from a friend or a family member and you're on your way to the gun range and get stopped by law enforcement and you have your credentials with you, get covered if arrested. Okay, so that's a great question, Darren. That's a great question. Let's have that conversation. If you borrow a legal gun from a friend or family member, first of all, if you borrow a legal gun from a friend or family member, I would strongly suggest you have this thing called recordation. Recordation. What does recordation mean? You have a record that this conversation did happen, that this permission was given. Why? People are as loyal as their options. People are as loyal as their options. If Jesus was betrayed by Judas, what makes you think your friend couldn't betray you if there are circumstances on that stop that was told to that friend that makes that friend back off and say, hey, I didn't give you permission. I did not give you permission. You came in my house and you took that gun, right? What evidence do you have that your attorney, hopefully a USCCA attorney, can give as an offer of proof to the state's attorney, district attorney, or Commonwealth attorney to say, yes, this person, against their own statement, they are lying. Yes, but they're not going to be punished for lying. You see what I'm saying? You need to have an offer of proof that, one, you got the gun and it was legal and family member and stuff like that. And you're on your way to the gun range and you get stopped by law enforcement, which can happen, and you have your credentials on you and you get covered, you get arrested. What were the circumstances of you getting arrested? You see what I'm saying? What were the circumstances of you getting arrested? That's a conversation between the lawyer and the Commonwealth attorney, state's attorney, district attorney, and they will question the police. Why? Because, you see what I'm saying? Like, you could have been falsely arrested. I've been there, right? So you're talking about, do you get covered? That's the purpose of it, is to cover you. In the Kayla Giles case, USCCA put down the bond money. They had somebody who was able to go out there and find. Oh, she set this up. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to get that initial coverage, but it's going to be an ongoing, continuous thing. Even as a detective, just because you're arrested and just because you're indicted, the case is still being worked all the way through to trial because there's always new things to find out. So the arrest does not end everything. That's just the first step in the procedure. It's other procedural things that have to take place. So I can't possibly answer your question entirely because y'all want a black and white, a concrete yes or no, will you be covered? Yeah, but trust me, there's going to be a continuous investigation. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Let me see if you responded. I would like to become a USCCA instructor, but I feel like the fees to go through the instructor course are expensive and they put you through a lot to get certified. One, they don't put you through a lot like you think, but they do put you through what's necessary for you to get what you need to get to be an instructor. And two, I can't speak for your pocketbook, so if it's expensive for you, I understand. That said, if you want to be an instructor, it's just like any other business. It takes money to make money. That's the best thing that I can say with that. But go see USCCA, go see an instructor trainer, and then you know, good luck on your journey. If you get charged with a crime with USCCA, they're not gonna cover you. Okay, that's not true. There's too many people that they have helped. Okay. Yes, Brandon, it is value. You have to have it in you writing. You said, I have my HQL and my dad passed away and he left me 4 firearms. What should I do? You have to speak to a lawyer in your area to find out what the law is, because I can't tell you what you should do because I don't know what the laws are in your area. But I know most people would probably just take those guns. Alan Jones, how can I get you on my podcast? You can email me at mike@mikebrownsclasses.com. Let me know what you want to talk about and I'll make a decision from there. I tend to stray away from certain podcasts because sometimes it's a gotcha type situation. I'm not saying yours is, but I actually want to focus on things that are not just about guns. I want to focus on behavior, behavioral management, conflict avoidance, anger management. I got you, Darren. I want to answer more of your questions. What am I saying? Yeah, conflict avoidance, things like that, adverse childhood experiences, things that are actually child traumas, because not everything that's an adverse childhood experience is a trauma. but that word gets overused. I want to focus on those things. See, it's not just owning a firearm. That's, you are you. The firearm is the firearm. Are you the firearm? Is the firearm you? Without that firearm, can you still avoid conflict? Does that make sense? Yeah. Can you avoid conflict? Because without that firearm, you still got to be smart. You still got to be street smart. You got to be smart about you. Got to be able to assess human behavior. Does that make sense? So I like to talk about more things than just the guns. Sometimes, what's your favorite firearm? What's your favorite this? Oh, I like to shoot. I like to do this. I like to do that. But your home life skills suck. Your home life is suffering. You see what I'm saying? Your wife's about to leave you, which is fine. It could be a great thing. Oh my God, it could be a great thing that your wife's about to leave you. I mean, I'm just saying it's so much to know, that would set you on a better path in life than just, I got this gun and I got this, I got this, that. You get what I'm saying? So I like to focus on that stuff because it seems to be that's the only conversation that 2A folks have. Guns. That just means you're set. You said, can I listen? Yeah, Alan. Yeah, what's the name? Shout the name of your podcast, Alan, so people can go to it, please. Because I want to listen to your that's another thing that I do. When I go to people's podcasts, I want to listen to what the content is to see if I even want to go on there. Because you could be talking about something, and then I also listen to how you interview. You know what I'm saying? And if you interview where it's like you get them good into their subject content, and then all of a sudden you drop and you do that sneak attack, I don't want to. No, because I see it coming. Alan Jones said uplifting things. I understand that's what I'm on. I want to teach the youth about counseling and therapy and things like that. Yes, Alan. Okay. All right. We'll see. So yeah, I already said it, Mike at MikeBrownsClasses.com. Darren, I'm getting back to your comment again. Y'all do me a favor. Could y'all hit that like button? I got 70 people that bounce in and out and watch. Please, just hit that like button. If you could do the algorithm a favor, I would greatly appreciate that. I'm still trying to get another question from you, Darren. And those of y'all, you can, now here's this. I'm not going to answer questions on behalf of USCCA, the organization, or anything relative to insurance because I stay in my lane. Of the instructor qualifications that I have, USCCA is one of them, and I'm speaking to what I can speak to. I'm not answering questions outside my lane because that's not an official, that may not be an official response of USCCA or any organization. You know what I'm saying? So no, I stay in my lane. Instructor Mike, you forgot to answer my question. Is it true if you're found guilty in your case, do you have to pay the money back? How long have you been a member of USCCA? I've been a member of USCCA for quite a while. I think it's been some years. I have my card. It's been some years. And if you're found guilty in your case, do you have to pay money back to the USCCA? First of all, you're trying to get an answer to the end result instead of looking at the behavior, yours, the subjects. You're trying to get to the end result of if you're found guilty, which is a possibility. I've been falsely arrested before, found not guilty in those cases, right? So if you're found guilty, do you have to pay the money back? You would have to ask USCCA that. You would have to look at the contract and see what the stipulations are, right? You would have to look at what are you doing to avoid these conflicts, right? Is somebody else's conflict that they get into your situation to insert yourself into? There are so many other questions that could get you into a situation where that question then becomes a valid question of concern. Most people are not looking for conflicts to get into, but some of you in the second community are. So yeah, it's a valid question for you, and you would have to answer that question directly to them. I'm not in the operations side, so I wouldn't know anything about that. I couldn't even speak to that. So you would have to ask them that. And if you're really interested, you should speak to. Yeah, you said you can only speak on what terms you are allowed to be giving on your contract that gives you a minimum on what they all have to script within the, I don't know what that means. Let me read it again. You can only speak on what terms you are allowed. Well, it's not an allowed thing. It's not an allowed thing. That's why I had to go back and read what you said. It's not an allowed thing. It's not what I'm allowed, because they don't control me. I'm not under contract with USCCA. I'm not under contract. Just because a person is an official partner, that's fine. Just because a person is an official partner doesn't mean you're under contract. You may just have an agreement with them to, have them, they can come in and speak to students and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean I'm under any contract. I'm not bound. If anybody knows anything, matter of fact, it was me saying something that got USCCA's attention. I'm a very controversial person, so I'm not under contract. I don't allow myself to be slave to no one else but what I believe in. I don't ever like to be slave to that, because that's another reason why I won't take government money. With the business that I have, I need to drink water soon. With the business that I have the opportunity to take welfare money for those trying to help people get jobs and stuff like that and get certified as a security officer. I have the ability to be able to take government money. But when you take government money, you take the agenda of that government funding you. Does that make sense? When you take somebody's money, you take the agenda. So no, I don't know. I'm not slave. I don't want your money, because if I take your money, then that means I'm slave to your agenda. No, I like being independent. That's why I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I'm independent because my alliance with a position depends on that position. You see what I'm saying? That's why I have a wonderful relationship with God. I am neither Christian nor Muslim, Buddhist nor this nor that. As a constructivist, as an open source learner, as an advocate for education, no one can tell me who I can learn from. I like to learn from everyone. I am a constructivist. Jean Piaget, Alfred Adler, teleology. I'm an open source learner. So I like to learn from everyone. But when you align with these concrete positions, you have to be this or have to be that. Even in the Bible, you're going to either be hot or cold, because if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out my mouth. Life is lukewarm. Not everything is this or that. There's a lot of abstract. You're either my enemy or you're my friend. You can't be my associate. Why does it have to be this or that? You could be my associate. You see what I'm saying? I love you. Well, what type of love? There are 7 types of love. That's not 7, obviously that's 5. 7 types of love. How many love languages? 5. Does that make sense? There's a lot of variance, right? You're either for us or against us. Push both of y'all out. I don't really care. I'm independent. It depends. Yes, Timothy. You said I'm independent because there are things that I agree and disagree with from both parties. That's me too. Yes. Yes. There are things that Democrats do I like. There are things that Republicans do I like. There are things that I don't like. I don't like. Yeah, I don't like. Matter of fact, this last election, I voted both Republican and Democrat. There's some Democratic politicians I like. I voted for them. There's some Republican politicians I like. I voted for them too. You see what I'm saying? Oh man, look, you can't tell me what side to pick. There's no sides for me. It's positions, things that I value, right? That's open source. That's true freedom. True freedom. Being able to pick and choose and just, oh, come on, bro. Look, I said what I said. You don't even travel with your car at the same speed. Your speed varies depending upon where you are, where you're trying to go, what abruptly happens. If you change speeds when driving, why got to be the same? Yeah, I'm nonpartisan. Yeah. I don't have a side. My side. That's it. And maybe your side, depending on the argument. I think of it like sports. Not everyone can play the position, let alone the game. Yeah. And then some people are just good for this type of position. Like, I tell you what, Travis Hunter, he appears to be both good on offense and defense in certain positions. I believe that's one of the reasons he won the Heisman Trophy, right? I don't know. There's other arguments with that, but I said what I said. That's my take on it from what I see from that perspective. Let me get back to these comments real quick, and then I'm going to land. Oh, now this was one. I got to address this one. This was one. Here we go. I had USCCA. This is Infinite Stone 2. He said, I had USCCA and was arrested for having a high cap magazine, which was an unlawful arrest. They did not reimburse me for my firearm, which was destroyed. That made me leave. Now, this is what he said. Y'all do me a favor, hit that like button, please. Here we go. And I asked him what state and did you have them as a lawyer and what was the disposition of the case? He said, or this person said, the case was dismissed, SOL, in prelims. I did not have an attorney. When I reached out to a couple of them, they told me to wait and see if it gets to preliminary. I reached out to USCCA after the fact and asked about reimbursed, and it was not offered. Did you see what I'm saying? See, you got to know what questions to ask because people will give you half truths. They will give you half truths. I'm going to start from the beginning again. I had USCCA and was arrested for having a high capacity magazine. Now, this was pre-Protect Illinois Communities Act, right? Which was an unlawful arrest. Now, I don't know if it was unlawful, whatever. They did not reimburse me for my firearm, which was destroyed. That made me leave. He didn't say anything about the representation or the disposition of the case. I asked what state and did you have them as a lawyer and what was the disposition of the case? He replied, the case was dismissed, SOL'd in prelims. What does that mean? The case was dismissed. SOL is a motion that the state makes, right? In other words, when he was arrested, and I can interpret this because I know how this happens. 9 times out of 10, the arresting officer did not show up in court. And because the arresting officer did not show up in court, the state's attorney asked for a continuance. The judge respectfully denied that continuance. And because the judge denied that continuance, there was no place else for the case to go. So the state made an oral motion, Your Honor, motion state SOL, which stands for stricken on leave to reinstate, which means that within 180 days, they have the right to refile the case and bring it back up. Does it happen? Most of the time, no. Okay. So it was SOL'd in preliminary hearing, right? I did not have an attorney. When I reached out to a couple, they told me to wait to see if it gets past preliminary. Didn't I tell you there was some bad attorneys? What attorney would do that, right? An attorney who really cares about you wants to represent you as soon as you call them. USCCA will do that. Okay. Here we go. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I reached out to USCCA, listen, after the fact. Why would you wait till late to reach out to them? That's crazy. But then you got a negative opinion about them. You reached out to them after the fact. That ain't good. That's not good. Trying to get back to this. Sorry. My phone shifted and it knocked the comment off. Hold on. There we go. Sorry. I reached out to them after the fact and asked about reimbursement, and it was not offered. Why would they reimburse you when they don't know anything about your case? You just want the money. You just wanted the money. You wanted the firearm to be reimbursed. The other thing that made me leave was on the reciprocity map. It said that there was no magazine restriction due to state preemption, but many Chicagoans were getting arrested for it. When I asked about it, they didn't have a response. You know why they don't have a response? Because they are not lawyers. They fund the lawyer that's in the network in the state where you are. You asked USCCA. You didn't ask the attorney in the network. The attorney can answer that question. Hell, I can answer that question. So let me answer that question. The other thing that made me leave was on their reciprocity map. It stated there was no magazine restriction due to state preemption. That is correct. For concealed carry licensees, the Cook County 10-round rule is only for those who have FOID cards. For those who have concealed carry, the state law, Chapter 430, Illinois Compiled Statutes Act 66, which is the Concealed Carry Act, preempts local laws because the state of Illinois said so and is administered by the Illinois State Police. It preempts local laws, right? But many Chicagoans were getting arrested for it. Why? Because a lot of Chicago cops don't read the law. They don't know the law. That's not your life task of being concerned with whether or not the police know the law. You're not a police officer. You're not in that profession. You are not them. Your life task is when you get arrested by someone ignorant, do you have someone smart and skilled to defend you? That's your life task. It's an Adlerian perspective. Worry about what you control. You don't control their ignorance. And you reached out to USCCA after the fact. You can't do that. And I asked him, was this before the Protect Illinois Communities Act? And I asked him, what was the magazine capacity of your firearm? And like I said, you reached out to USCCA after the fact. That's got nothing to do with USCCA. That's you. If this was a gun case, you were supposed to reach out to them as soon as you got arrested. But if you had a firearm and had a high capacity magazine and you were not supposed to have it in the state of Illinois, yes, they're probably going to destroy it. If you would have had an attorney, they would have drafted a motion to release it. But because you were pro se, which means you were defending yourself, right? You were pro se. They figured you don't know the law, as most people, and you don't know to ask the judge right then and there after the SOL. Your Honor, can I have a drafted motion that upon me showing that the firearm was mine, the magazine was mine, I was lawfully entitled to it, I have a FOID card, I have a concealed carry license, upon providing proof to you, Your Honor, that all these conditions are satisfactory, would I be able to draft a motion that upon these conditions being met, that my firearm be returned to me? Notice the specific language that I used. You can't just ask the judge, well, Your Honor, can I get my gun back? Which is likely what you would say out of ignorance because you don't know how to talk to the judge. Communication, you don't know how to talk to the judge. But if you were a lawyer, or at least legally astute, you would know how to say those things to a judge, because a judge isn't just going to just grant it to you. I know my first case, I was falsely arrested. A gun was involved. Guess what I had to do? Get that motion drafted. And upon proving these things to the court, guess what I ended up getting back? My gun. See, come on now. I'm talking about what I know. Come on, bro. He said, oh, well, I'm confused on how it works then, because it says they reimburse you if you were arrested and firearm was taken. I asked the judge to return the firearm and he refused. Why? Because all you did was ask the judge to return the firearm. You didn't use the language that lawyers or people who are legally smart, who knows this lawyer who is a politician and has to be elected. Hello, they're not just going to just give you a gun because the case was dismissed. You got to prove you own the gun. You were legally entitled to it. You have to present an offer of proof before the judge considers giving you the gun back. But anybody in Cook County or Chicago would tell you, if that gun gets taken and it's in ERPS, which is Evidence Recovered Property section of the Chicago Police Department, good luck on trying to get that gun back. 9 times out of 10, they may just really fight hard to keep it. It's not impossible for you to get it back, but you just have to know how. And just because, you see what I'm saying? Ignorance is volatile. Ignorance is dangerous. Come on now. Here we go. Oh, well, I'm confused on how it works then, because it says they'll reimburse you if you were arrested and the firearm was taken. I asked the judge to return the firearm and he refused. Also, there was no magazine restrictions in Illinois at the time, so I was definitely carrying my firearm lawfully, which I do agree because there was no magazine restriction at that time. I said, And he said, this is why people have a problem with it, because as long as I'm a member, I should have these protections. If I wasn't in a critical response incident, I wasn't in a critical response incident, so I didn't call right away. That's your problem. You were arrested. And you, a person who's not smart about what critical response even means, it's called critical response. They respond. You told yourself no when you didn't call USCCA. You told yourself no. You made the decision that their services were not warranted. That's on you. That's not on USCCA. That's on you, respectfully. You did that. You, a person who you paid for the membership. The arrest could have been lawful, but you, a ignorant, which simply means by definition, generally unaware, unknowing, right? You made the decision not to call them. I can see if you said, I called them and they didn't call back. I called them and they said no. You probably wouldn't have given a reason, but we could have found out that reason, right? But you didn't even call them. You called them after the fact. So you knew better than them. And it didn't work out for you. And the only reason why the case got SOL'd is because the complaining witness, the officer, didn't show up in court. It's you. That's not USCCA. You left them because of your ignorance, not because of USCCA. Here we go. And I said, it's not that their information. Oh, here we go. This is what I said. I said, did you read the contract in its entirety? How do you ask them for them to reimburse you when you didn't even ask them to represent you? You paid for a membership that you did not use at the right time. The representative tells you as soon as you get into a situation where you were lawfully engaged, you get on the phone and you contact them immediately. By your own admission, you did not do that. You contacted them after the fact. Then you only contacted them for firearm reimbursement. They don't know anything about your case. They don't know anything about the specific facts and circumstances that will cause them to give an assessment of what they can and can't do for you. It's no different than you trying to file an insurance claim for a car accident after you've already taken the car to a mechanic and had them fix the damage. Now you want to file a claim for the money that you paid towards that? That's not how it works. Does that make sense? Sound off in the comments if you've heard me so far. Does that make sense? You didn't pay for the stuff to get repaired. Now you want to call them to file a claim. That's not how that works in that context. Respectfully, it's not that their information was bad. Your comprehension of the services were bad. You probably didn't read the contract in its entirety. And even if you did read it, did you understand what you read? Hopefully you don't get offended by what I said or wrote, but it is true. Just because you read something doesn't mean you understand it. And just because you hear someone speaking Spanish doesn't mean you understand what they're saying. That's why in what do? It's reading and then it's reading comprehension. It's not enough that you just read. Do you understand what you wrote? And if you don't understand the industry, you don't understand the industry language. So then you just decided, well, it wasn't a critical incident. Who are you to decide what's critical or what's not? Do you even understand it's critical response, not critical your assessment? So yes, I support USCCA. And we're not going to reimburse you. We don't even know what you did. We don't even know the circumstances. You called us after the fact. Well, that's why I left them. That's your loss. That's your loss. This is America. You have the right to choose, but that's your loss. That's not on them. And this is why I don't follow herd mentality. Well, other people left because such and such. You got to peel back the onion on this stuff. You got to peel back the onion on this stuff. Hey, Mike, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for helping me understand this better, this subject. You are right about this relationship of attorneys and judges. I have experienced myself in the past. I would love to learn more about this from your perspective. It really boils down to if you're anti-2A or pro-2A courtroom when it comes down to the outcome of a firearms-related case and its outcome. Yeah, it boils down to that, but there is a way that you could persuade a anti-2A judge and courtroom if you were right in your self-defense. And that is because of the relationship. You see what I'm saying? Like, when we take these hardened stances that a person who is all right, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. See, people don't understand that you have politicians who are publicly, now, what I'm about to say, I'm not saying any names. I will not say any names. But there are politicians who publicly are against guns, who are gun owners and are very well trained behind the scenes. You will never know that unless you're in that space. And these politicians go to people like or better than me who are very great at being tight-lipped about who we train. I don't always record or show the people I train. I got politicians I've trained. They have a hardline stance against guns publicly. You will never know that they are firearms owners themselves. Just like you got politicians who are Democratic in the public, Republican at the dinner table. You'll never hear people like or better than me saying we know you, and we don't throw it up in their face because we know the game. It's called representative government. The position that you see them portray, that's not who they really are at their core. They're just representing the positions of their constituents. That's not who they are. That's the job that they have to do. And they're very great at doing it. Most politicians are what? Lawyers. Oh, come on, guys. Come on. Most politicians are lawyers. They're very great at what they do. A percentage of them really believe the positions they talk about. A percentage of them you clearly know, and they're really good at representing their constituents. They live and feel different. Look at Democratic politicians. You look at certain Democratic politicians, they are okay with you being a single person who's this and that. You look at them. Matter of fact, I'll give you one case in point. Governor Walz of Minnesota. Yes, look at the optics. How many, sound off in the comments if you're still with me. How many of you all seen Governor Walz as opposed to Kamala Harris? Take his politics and set it aside. Look at the aesthetics. Look at how he looks. Doesn't he look like a Republican traditional family? Military veteran, educator, family, beautiful family, right? Oh, it's easy to transplant him from Democrat to Republican because he looks conservative. He looks conservative. Does that make sense? He looks conservative. That's why they picked Governor Walz to be with Kamala. Why? Because the aesthetics of how he looks conservative. Served in the military, was a veteran. There was concerns about his record, but he still served, right? That aligns with veterans and conservative. You see what I'm saying? Married, coach, educator, family man. That's not the Democratic Party platform. That is, go look at the Democratic Party platform online. Google it. That's not the Democratic Party platform. When you look at the Republican Party platform, family is the centerpiece of mostly everything. That's why they picked Governor Walz. Politics were Democrat, aesthetics were Republican. Come on, bro. You got to be able to look at the game and how it's being played, right? So back to the gun thing. Just because they say I'm anti-gun, that doesn't really mean it. That's just the position that they play. That's just what they put in front. It's called representative government, not I believe in this. I am representing those who believe in this, and I am arguing as though I am them. That's representative government. So it is possible, Timothy, when you said it really boils down to if you are anti-2A or pro-2A courtroom, when it concerns the outcomes of a firearms related case and its outcome, yeah, that's true in part, but not entirely true. You can get a person who is before an anti-2A judge to look at these particular facts and circumstances and the merits of this case. And how good are they persuading the judge if he or she alone is the trier of fact in a bench trial or a jury? Because remember, self-defense is a community standard. So who are the triers or is the trier of fact? And the judge is the judge of the law and its application in a courtroom. That's that. And you're a lawyer who has had knowledge, skill, ability, competence, confidence, experience. How is your lawyer rated among the various bar associations? Are they a great lawyer? Do they have what kind of relationships? What are the reviews? Have you talked to the law abiding? Have you talked? Come on now. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm about to drop this knowledge. I'm about to drop this knowledge. See, those of you who are so law and order, law and order, law and order, got it. Have you talked to people behind bars to find out who their lawyer was and whether or not their lawyer represented them well in court? Have you done that? Throw them away. Lock them up. Throw away the key. Go visit. Just find a way. Ask somebody who knows somebody. Get on the list, whatever. Make sure you're authorized to go visit. And just ask them about their case. And maybe, be careful. You don't have to tell on yourself, but I kind of want to know about your lawyer. How was your lawyer in this case? Some of you are like, well, Mike, we would never think to do that. Of course you wouldn't, because you don't think about those things. But I've been in those circles. So, you know what I'm saying? What you get too many people that's saying this lawyer was a bad lawyer and got them all locked up. If you find out all these people got locked up by this lawyer, maybe we don't go get that guy to represent us. Maybe we put that information out there. Yeah, this lawyer is horrible. Now, here we go. Criminal defense lawyer, whether you win or lose, they still get paid because they're not working for free. Whether they win or lose, they still get paid. Right? So is the lawyer a lawyer, someone who wants to win the case and still get paid? Or are they just a lawyer who I still get paid whether you win or not? Whatever. We take the case. Why? Because I got bills that got to be paid. I got bills that got to be paid. Does that make sense? I just want you to think. That's it. But it's not just thinking. You got to know what to think about. You got to know what questions to ask. And if you don't know any of these things, you're not going to know. Gray Ghost said, attorneys on retainer. I dropped USCCA. Okay, good for you. I'm not going to argue why you did what you did. I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here to educate. What you take with it is up to you. You dropped USCCA. Okay, ooh, good for you. I hope it works out. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, that's fine. It's your lawyer. It's your life. Adlarian perspective. My life task is not to be concerned with whether or not you drop whatever reason. You may live in a safe space. After all, you're a ghost. So no one sees you. You don't get into stuff. So who you choose to pay is up to you. Where you choose to spend your money is up to you. But those of us who live in high gang, high narcotic, high crime areas, where the likelihood of us having to actually use what we know and what we've learned, or even learn from what we, or even, you know what I'm saying? The likelihood for us to have to use this is greater than you. You're a ghost and you're gray. You're probably friends with Casper. Casper, the friendly ghost, is not getting into any conflict. He's a friendly person. Now, if you were the ghost of Mississippi, that's a different story. It's a different story. I'm not saying you are, but you get it. All right, final thoughts before we bug out, before we leave. Got things to do. I mean, it's kind of my chill day, relaxed day. I give myself a weekend off. Our bulletproof vest, it's not called bulletproof vest, it's ballistic vest. But our ballistic vest legal in Illinois for its citizens? I heard the law on that changed. Previously, the answer was a yes. Previously, the answer was yes. I'm going to look that up because I think there were some changes in the law. So I don't want to say yes or no. I want to do the scholarly thing and look that up. Because I know I've arrested somebody who had a ballistic vest, but he was in the commission of a crime. So that was different. Okay, so House Bill 3238 has been proposed and would take effect January 1st, 2024. Until then, Illinois does not have any additional body armor laws pertaining to retailers. In Illinois, any civilian can purchase and use a ballistic vest unless that adult has been convicted of a felony. So let me see the status of House Bill 3238. You can go to ilga.gov and look that up. Okay. House Bill 3238, Criminal Code, Body Armor. The status of it, and I'm sure if you understand anything about laws, it could start off as a House bill and end up with a different name. So the status of it was 3/10/2023. It was referred to the Rules Committee, and I think it died in committee. But let me see. Yeah, it died in committee. It died in committee. Yeah, so it's not law. Now, I'm going to look at the statute, Chapter 720, Illinois Compiled Statutes, Act 5, Section 33-5, as it stands, not as proposed. No, that's not it. Unlawful possession. That's what it's titled. Unlawful possession of body armor. Okay, so, why is it so big? All right, so, unlawful use of body armor. So it's Illinois Compiled Chapter 720, Illinois Compiled Statutes, Act 5, Section 33, F as in Frank, -2. Effective 8/11/2024. Unlawful use of a body armor. A person commits the offense of unlawful use of body armor when he or she knowingly wears body armor and is in possession of a dangerous weapon other than a firearm in the commission or attempted commission of any offense. Sentence 33F3. A person convicted of unlawful use of body armor for a first offense shall be guilty of a Class A misdemeanor, and for a second or subsequent offense shall be guilty of a Class 4 felony. So the law as it stands, you can possess body armor so long as you are not in possession of a dangerous weapon other than the firearm in the commission of or an attempted commission of any offense. In other words, if you, and that's a situation where I was a police officer in a town and this person was a security officer, and this person liked to personate himself as a police officer. My partner and I, we knew this to be a fact. We had gotten intelligence that he was outside with his firearm on his person in an open carried state. And this was before concealed carry. We don't have open carry. We've never had open carry, to my recollection, in the state of Illinois, especially in modern times. We don't have that. And we still don't have that to this day. But we received intelligence, because he wasn't liked by a lot of people, that he was carrying his firearm in an open carry state, and he had on his body armor. My partner and I, in separate cars, swooped down on him and caught him right in the act, secured that firearm from him, and grabbed him at the same time and placed him under arrest for unlawful use of a weapon, which technically should be unlawful possession of a weapon, but it was unlawful use of a weapon, 720 ILCS, Act 5, Section 24, I think 2401, unlawful use of a weapon, which in Illinois possession is considered use, and unlawful possession of body armor because he was wearing a white colored ballistic vest. Yeah. And he was not on duty as a security officer at the time because he was trying to claim that he was working for several security companies, and we were able to get the information pursuant to an investigation that he was not working for those security companies that he asserted at the time that he was arrested. Because he presented to us identification at the time that he was a security officer. It was not that he could not possess the vest. It was not that he could not possess the gun. It was the manner in which he was carrying it, which was open and displayed, which was committing a crime because he was not supposed to have it open. We didn't have concealed carry at the time. So there was no concealed carry. Yeah, so there was that. Yep. And I think he was subsequently convicted of that. I don't know, but the arrest was valid. So you cannot be committing an offense and wearing a vest at the time. Now, self-defense is a different story, but, self-defense is a legal determination that's determined by the courts, or at least by a competent law enforcement officer who knows the law, knows case law, is astute on case law, and is able to make a proper assessment at the time as to whether or not a crime has been committed. And when you have uneducated law enforcement officers that think they know the law, then yes, you are definitely probably going to get arrested. Yes, it's probably going to go to court, but it can die in the courts because you get more knowledgeable others who's able to say, officer, you've given your best attempts, and we thank you for that, but this case is respectfully, dismissed or SOL'd or nolly-prossed. You said you've never met a competent law enforcement officer? Okay. I can't speak to how many people you've met, but there are competent officers and there are incompetent officers too. Do you think they will ever have non-resident carry in Illinois? If not, will there be reciprocity with other states? Well, I will say this. Do me a favor, hit the like button, please. And I'll stay live. I got to grab something to drink, but I'll stay live and talk to you guys. I haven't talked to you all in a while, so I'll stay live. No, we'll never get constitutional carry. We were the last state in the union to get concealed carry, and that was only by United States Supreme Court order that reversed and remanded it and all that great stuff. So if the Supreme Court of the United States had to make it so where we got concealed carry, this will be Custer's last stand as it comes down to constitutional carry. It will take a new governor, Republican governor. It will take a Republican majority in the Illinois State Senate and the Illinois House of Representatives. And that's a long shot. Even though the rest of the state of Illinois is a red state, Cook County and Chicago together are very populous. And because of that fact, Democratic politicians are the majority in Cook County and in Chicago. And by that very fact, state politics are ruled by Chicago and Sangamon County. So that will never happen. You forget that. Never happen. Never. You say Big Boy in Springfield not going. Yeah, Pritzker's not going. But, I'll say this. Yeah, J.B. Pritzker's not going. There's things about Pritzker that I see and observe. Yeah. And first of all, Pritzker's losing weight. So I don't know if y'all see that, but J.B. Pritzker is losing weight and looking good, by the way. And look, nobody could tell me who I like and who I don't like. I don't have to like his stance on guns to say that I understand him. He's losing weight. That's good. Good for him. That's good for him. I can see him losing weight. Two, when we see Governor Pritzker and Brandon Johnson have beef, I don't think they have beef, but I think you just have to see how Governor Pritzker moves. And he moves smartly. Yeah, he moves smartly. Remember how I talked about just representative government? Yeah, he moves smartly. He really does. Yeah. And that's the best I'll say. Whoever just purchased a Max Safes, good job. Thank you. Appreciate that. I saw the email just come through. He moves very smartly. He really does. So, yeah. I just see certain things about him and how he's positioned himself. So I see that. Thank you. I appreciate that, PRBs. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I had to lose the weight. I had to. Do you think Trump will be able to get national arrest? I think he'll get it passed. I think they will get it passed. ARs are still banned in Illinois, yeah. Yeah, I think he'll get it passed. All right, appreciate that 9mm throat punch. That's a hell of a name. 9mm throat punch. I love it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Yeah, I think he'll get it passed. House Resolution, I think it's HR 38. Hell of a name. I think he'll get it passed. We just have to see. Now, people will sit there and say, I watched GOA, and I'm a member of Gun Owners of America. No, I'm going to answer that question. And I'm going to answer your question too, Junior. Y'all do me a favor, hit the like button, please. Please, please, please. Thank you. So, what question did you just ask? Not those two. Yeah, so I'm a member of Gun Owners of America, and I watched their video on it, and they said, call your representatives, and when you call your representatives, encourage them to sign. I'm like, I'm not calling mine. I know their position. They're not going to do it. That would be a wasted call. Why would I do that? But I'm not going to call them and convince them because I know for them to do that would affect them politically. So they're not going to do that. So that's why people like us who live in states like Illinois, who live in counties like Cook County, where we know it's not going to happen, we actually depend on y'all to have that fight so that we can benefit, because I know it's not going nowhere here. That's crazy. If you know politics, you know this shit's not going. I would dare not call my representative and say, hey, what's going on? It's Instructor Mike. You know what I'm calling, right? And they're like, Mike, now bro, I don't have a problem with you. You already know, Mike, you're smart, right? And I'd be like, yeah, I was just fucking with you. All right, bye. That's how that call would go. I know they're not about to do that shit. I would dare not ask this person to put their job on the line for something that I know this person's going to be outruled. That's crazy, you know? So y'all fight the good fight. I'll just keep using my platform to educate. Does that make sense? Come on. All right. They not fucking doing that shit. And I'm not ruining a relationship. So no. You said, am I eating salads? No, I'm a vegetarian. So I eat vegetarian stuff. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat 5 times a day. Eat a lot of vegetables. I don't eat any meat. So I get my proteins through beans, other sources of protein. I don't do protein shakes. And I'm like, oh my God, you do this protein shakes. No, I don't do protein shakes. But I do get my protein from other sources of protein. You got nuts, and I got a whole bunch of other different stuff. So it's just learning how to eat. And I do eat salads from time to time, but I eat a lot of green. Oh my God, vegetables are the shit. They are great. So yeah, there's that. Do I see the Protect Illinois Community Act getting overturned within Trump's 4 years? So this is what I see with regard to that. Avocado, yes. Avocado toast, yeah, I eat that. So Maryland has a case. And I think that if you understand anything politically, you understand Maryland and Illinois' politics as it relates to... All right, we're back. Here we go. If you understand, Maryland and Illinois' politics are kind of the same as it relates to guns. And I see Maryland's case being granted certiorari by the United States Supreme Court before Illinois' case. And if you followed the history of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, and that name changed because the director of the New York State Police changed. So that wasn't the name it was when it started. That's the name it became. And you understand how the case makes its way to be ripe or to be ready for certiorari. Just because you want them to overturn it rapidly, that doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. And so I see Maryland's case, which they're, to my novice understanding, they're essentially, I believe, similar cases. I see Maryland's case being granted cert, and then if Maryland's case overturns PICA, I see that happening. I could be wrong. I may be wrong. I don't even doubt it. I just see Maryland's case overturning Illinois', not the other way around. So that's how I see that happening. Thanks, Dale. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sending me a $10 cash app. Thanks. Dale supports the channel all the time. My page has been monetized. If y'all support, you do. If you don't, you don't. I'm just happy by your presence and your interactions. Thank you for that, Dale. Carlos, I hope I answered your question. Yeah, I can't show that one. All right. What other questions do you have? And I'm a bug out. What's up, Junior? You said a great teacher, good debater. Yeah, yeah. That House bill is ghost. That House bill did die. It's not illegal to possess body armor. It's very illegal to possess it so long as you're not committing any offense. And any offense covers both misdemeanors and felonies. You know, so. And I will take this live and clip this live. Do I still do perk cards? Yes, I do. I'm located. My office is located at 8533 South Pulaski in Chicago. My office hours are Wednesday 9 to 12, 2 to 5. You can come on over there, get what you need to get done, perk cards and all that great stuff. Do you have any guide I can buy from you on firearm and firearm laws and what I have to buy that are principal buying for security that works in nightclubs? So I hope you're still here. Let me know you're still here so I can answer your question. I thought body armor was illegal in Chicago. It might be illegal in Chicago for you to possess. Do you think people not have body armor? I'll just leave it there, right? Just because something is banned by city ordinance, I mean, Chicago may not want you to have it, but here's a question that I have. How many people, law-abiding citizens, are getting prosecuted? You still there? Okay, I'll answer your question. How many law-abiding citizens do you see getting prosecuted for the possession of body armor if you're not engaged in any criminal activity? That's the question that I have. It's just like if you look at the Illinois Concealed Carry Act. The Illinois Concealed Carry Act has it where you're not authorized to carry your firearm on public transportation. Now, I'm not advocating for or against it because I understand both positions. But here's a question. We have had people who have lawfully used their firearms on public transportation and have detained, assist in the detention of would-be or actual criminals, shot, deleted, lawfully, persons. Have we seen them be prosecuted? Are you following? Have we seen them be prosecuted? Yeah, I got you, Ali. I got you. Have we seen them be prosecuted? Yeah, you said the most recent case, the guy didn't even have a concealed carry license and they didn't charge him. See, the thing is, people don't understand that you got to be able to, it's like, the court system doesn't rely on the court of public opinion, but then it does. Does that make sense? Because you got to be able to pick a jury that's going to likely agree with your position. The grand jury, yeah, okay, will they indict? Sure. Ham sandwich. But the regular jury, the court of public opinion may be in favor of not charging this guy. Good luck finding a jury that's going to agree that this person should be convicted. State juries or county juries, right? And federal juries are two different types of juries. Does that make sense? Two different types of juries. I didn't know my mic fell. I didn't know my mic fell. Okay. Here we go. Oh, that looks ugly. That's not what I was trying to do. I had it somewhere down here. I didn't even know it fell off. I think I straightened it when you thought it said ball razor instead of bar razor. I didn't say constitutional carry. I'm asking about non-resident carry. Thank you. I appreciate that, PR Beast. Or reciprocity. So here we go. If national concealed carry reciprocity gets passed, then it wouldn't even matter. You'd be able to carry in all 50 states. You know, if it passes, we'll see what happens. There's a strong likelihood it will, but politics being what it is, let's see where it goes. And even constitutional carry, same thing. So I would invite you to go to GOA. He has Gun Owners of America. I've joined them, advocating for you to join them. Okay, because I see Gun Owners of America actually taking the place of the NRA. as a strong gun lobby for the 2A. I see that happening. So yeah, I joined for sure. I did. Because I got to support those who have to fight in places where I can't. Does that make sense? Yeah, because I'm too busy doing other things. So I can't fight in those areas. But I see, you got to go watch his video, or that company, that channel, that, group's video, because they do a great job breaking down what it actually is intended to mean. And House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader, I forgot the guy's name, but they have been long advocates of House Bill 38 or House Resolution 38. And they showed videos of them advocating for it before. So it's not like they're just saying, oh my God, they've been advocates of it and they didn't show any offers of proof. They showed offers of proof that, yeah, they've been advocating for this for quite a while, and Trump said he would sign it into law. So we got the position to be able to have it. Might as well get it while you got it. I mean, when Barack Obama became president, there were some things that he passed, whether you like it or not, whatever's. But there were some things he passed when he had a Democratic supermajority. So now you've got, or a Democratic majority. So now that you've got a Republican majority, you might as well, shit, if anything, you might as well get this passed. So I see it passing and being signed into law. That would be a great day. That would be a great thing. Was it Hoshan? I think that's your name. I think I'm saying your name right. Santos. There are some nightclubs that we need to be more active, and there are some that are more calm. Yesterday, there were 2 people that got shot on the parking lot, and I need some guidance. So let me answer your question. Let me go back to your original question. Do you have any guide I can buy from you on firing a firearm? I think that's what you mean. Laws and what I have to buy that are principal buying for security that works at nightclubs. So let me explain this to you. This is a great question I'm going to answer. Yeah, I got to slim down. Y'all do me a favor, share this, please, please, please. I appreciate you all liking it. Thank you. So, are you in Illinois? Before I even answer that question, are you in Illinois? Because I want to make sure this is an Illinois answer that I'm about to give, because I am qualified to answer this question on multiple fronts, not just as a firearms instructor, but I also teach BASET, Beverage Alcohol Sellers and Service Education and Training. You said yes, he's in Illinois? You said I just carry pepper spray and a knife at times. I get it, Panda. I don't have any guns because I don't trust myself with them, but maybe one day. Well, that's honest. I can appreciate that. Are you still here in Illinois, Hoshan? I would recommend, Panda, and encourage that you go take a class from someone who's competent, okay? Because I want to make sure, you said states like New York and California are going through a fit if reciprocity gets passed. You know it. You know they about to lose they ever-loving minds. Okay, you are in Illinois. Okay, so here's the answer to your question. Remember the situation with there was a black male. I cannot think of his name. It will come to me as I'm speaking about it. There was a black male who was working at a club in Robbins, Illinois. He was a part of a security team that was a part of a security company. I do not know whether this company was authorized to work as a contract security company at this nightclub. From the research that I have done, it does not look as though he was. Okay, I think his name was Jamal Roberson or something to that effect. His face is coming to me, but his name not yet. Hold on, I want to say his name. Jamal Roberson, that's his name, okay? Jamal Roberson. So he was working as a security officer for Manny's Blue Room. And this happened November 11th, 2018. Jamal Roberson was working as an armed security officer, okay? And he was with a team of other people, okay? A team of other people. Yeah, I'm going to look at that, Dale. Yeah, please send that to me. I want to see that. And none of them had identifying marks on them. And this is evidenced by post-incident, the Cook County Sheriff's Police came on scene and they had their body cameras. And in the body camera video, you see the security teams interacting with the police. None of them have on any identifying marks. They have on tactical vests that you could buy from an Army surplus store. They had on ballistic vests with no identifying markings. So as the incident goes, there was an altercation where there was a fight in the club. Jamal and the other team members ejected that person from the club. That person then went to the car. They got a firearm out of the car and went back into the club, entered the club through the back door, fired shots in the club that caused the club to then scatter, the club members to then scatter and then leave the club. Jamal did not have on his firearm at the time. His firearm was in his car. Jamal ran to his car. He got his gun, and then he went back to the club with his gun. He saw the man, took the man down, and held him down at gunpoint. At this time, calls had already been placed to 911 about the shooting that had taken place. The police responded. Now, it's in the village of Robbins, but there are other villages and other towns on the same radio network that Robbins was on. Midlothian, Illinois is a town that is southwest of Robbins on the next border. When the call for shots fired came off, it is not uncommon for other towns to respond to other towns where violence occurs. A Midlothian police officer responded and was one of the first on the scene. He was met by another bar attendee who stated, the shots were fired, the subject could still be in there. And so this officer went to get his rifle to then go in towards the club. That's when he approached Jamal Roberson, who was on top of the alleged shooter. We later learned that this person was the shooter. I don't think he shot anyone. I think somebody was shot. I don't know. But he was the alleged shooter. Okay. The officer told the man who was on top of the other man, drop the gun, drop the gun. The man who was on top of that man had the gun. That was Jamal Roberson. But that man, Jamal Roberson, had no other identifying remarks or letterings on him. Just like how this says bar raiser, guess what it says on the back? Nothing, right? So from the viewpoint of the officer, if I am going to try to stop someone who appears to be dangerous, who am I going to try to stop? The person with the gun on top or the person on the bottom who has no gun? I'm going to try to stop the person on the top who has a gun. So he's saying, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. He didn't drop the gun. Pop, pop, pop. Officer shoots. Person falls. He later is gone. Right? Hey, House of the Princess, what's going on? He's later gone. Protests and a whole bunch of other things started, and it started a big uproar. Illinois State Police investigated it. The officer was cleared. And by right, he should have been. Okay? So let's explain this and then answer your question that's going to give you more answers and help you understand things. In the state of Illinois, all bars are licensed by the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, along with other licenses that they have to get to operate a business and stuff. Pursuant to the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, bars, first of all, the Illinois Concealed Carry Act, bars are already off limits from concealed carry licensees carrying guns into the establishment. Bars have, for the most part, always been off limits, even before we had Illinois concealed carry. Why? Because alcohol is involved. In fact, the license owner of a liquor license that's authorized to serve alcohol in its establishment, which is called on-premise consumption, they cannot permit people to carry firearms into that establishment because it violates their liquor license if they do. It subjects their license to revocation, okay? And that was even before Illinois concealed carry. So if you are, and even if you're not drinking, same thing. You can't carry it in there. So if you are a part of a security team, the way that should be gone about, right, is there should be two security teams. There's the interior security team. There's the exterior security team. The interior security team, trump tight. Big guys, qualified people. You see what I'm saying? Somebody who's doing the pat downs, who's watching different areas in the club. None of the people on the inside should be carrying any firearms. That doesn't mean they don't carry other tools and other instruments and stuff like that. But none of them should be carrying firearms because you don't want to violate the liquor license owner's liquor license pursuant to the Illinois Liquor Control Act, right? You don't want to violate that. The exterior team should be people who have firearms. Why? Because you're on the outside. You've got Overwatch. Because, come on now, it is not uncommon for you to put a person on, they could have tasers, they could definitely have tasers, right? But you got a person who's on the outside who's able to provide Overwatch. And it is not uncommon to have somebody get ejected from the club, go back to the car, grab a gun, come back inside and do stuff. That's why you need an exterior security team to provide Overwatch for the person that's ejected, to make sure we get the make, model, license plate, description of the person as they're walking to the car. When they leave, the direction of travel, and you've got an exterior security team to watch to see if this car comes back. You see what I'm saying? And you got comms with the inside folks and the outside folks. That's a true security team, not just inside, right? But they didn't have that because this was a unofficial security team. It's like bruhs in them. You know what I'm saying? We big security team will put you out. And then what are you relying on? Morality. We put you out, bro. Come on. Be gone. Be good. You're expecting them to have a, mindset. Okay, I got put out. Let me go home. Not everybody can handle rejection. You see what I'm saying? And when they got that gun, I'm going to show you who are you to kick me out. Pop, 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 right? And you should know this. This is as if you're a professional security company, not bruhs and them on phone now. You know what I'm saying? And that's typically what these companies hire, bruhs and them on phone and them or whatever. And then you get shit like this happening, right? So back to answering your question. One, if you're working these nightclubs in Illinois and you are desirous to carry a firearm, you're going to run into issues when it comes down to you carrying this firearm at that nightclub. What license would you have to authorize you to carry this firearm? So let's talk about security, since you've said that, and I'm qualified to speak to it because I teach it, right? In order for you to be an armed security officer in the state of Illinois, you personally need to have 5 things. And then there's a 6th thing that's coming, right? Unarmed security training, armed security training, your PERK card, which consists of you being fingerprinted and background checked to show that you have no felony background to be an armed security officer. And you need an FOID card. Then when you get hired by a security company, you get what's called a firearms control card. That is a card that is assigned to you, but you do not own it. It's assigned to you from the security company. The security company owns that card, and you can only possess this card when you are in their employ and you are working at places where they have a contract for this particular company to work at this establishment where this company has assigned you as a representative of this company and the contract that they have with this place for you to work security in the state of Illinois. Okay? So here we go. What did Jamal Roberson have? He had his unarmed. He had his armed security certification. He had a valid PERK card, which implied he passed a background check, had fingerprinting. He had a FOI card, and he had a firearms control card, commonly known as a TAN card. But he did not have one with that specific company, and that specific company did not have that type of contract with that type of bar, because had they had a contract that was legitimate, the owner would have restricted any security officers from working armed in the establishment. You could work outside the establishment as a part of the contract as an exterior security element, but not interior. Why? Because it violates my on-premise consumption liquor license through the Illinois Liquor Control Commission. And if you're operating as a concealed carry licensee pursuant to Chapter 430 Illinois Compiled Statutes Act 66, you can't carry a firearm in here because you are, by statute, barred from carrying a firearm in here, and you shouldn't be operating as a security officer in a security officer capacity carrying a firearm as a licensed concealed carrier in the state of Illinois. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a difference between private security carrying a firearm and public, a private person carrying a firearm for one's self-protection. You said, how do we sign up for my class? You can go to MikeBrownsClasses.com. MikeBrownsClasses, MikeBrownsClasses.com. Click on the button in the upper right-hand corner that says classes, and you'll see all my classes and what I teach. Okay? So, saying all of that to say this, I offer unarmed, armed security, per card processing, concealed carry renewals, anger management, parenting, one-on-one training, firearms consultation. I do a lot of stuff. Are my classes online or on Zoom? My armed security class is both in person and online. Unarmed security classes are both in person and online. We are located at 8533 South Pulaski, Unit B in Chicago. My concealed carry class, 100% in person. 100% in person. They are in person. You have to take them in person. There are no online classes. Do I still help with background expungement on a case-by-case basis? Yes. All right, we're back. Let me call Dom. Hold on for a minute. Hey, period. I'm live on YouTube. I'll call you back shortly. Yeah, so you say you live in Puerto Rico. That's why I asked you if you have online classes. Yes, I do have unarmed classes online. I do have armed classes online. I do have the more open repetitive education classes. I have other classes online too. So you can go to my website and check it out. And then, whatever class you take, I'll send it to you and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, so I gotta go ahead and take this call. So I'll go ahead and end it here. But I'm just saying all that to say, if you're gonna carry a firearm as a security officer at a nightclub, you're gonna have problems if you're working inside the nightclub. Now, police officers, if they're in an official capacity as an off-duty police officer, the laws for them are just a little bit different. They're just a little bit different. You see what I'm saying? Because they are a police officer. So it's just a little bit different. But that doesn't apply to you. So, yeah, just a little bit different. They have different ways they can move. Just like if you're an on-duty police officer, you can carry a firearm in the club because you're an on-duty police officer. But if you're off-duty, it's different. It's different. All right. Do you need a perk card to do nightclub security and bar? Yeah, especially if you're in Chicago. You better get it. If you don't get it, Chicago police, yeah, you're going to have some problems. So you better get it for sure. You definitely better get it. Okay. All right, let me get up out of here. Got calls I got to make, stuff like that. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I will clip this, and as soon as the live is over, I'll clip it. You'll see several clips come up in my shorts about this conversation, stuff like that. Like this, share this. all that other stuff. If you live in Chicago and in places where there are high gang, high narcotic, high crime areas, and you live in a place where it's a high likelihood for you to have to use a firearm, I cannot recommend any other company other than USCCA. I'm sure there might be others that might work for you where you live. It's your life. You have to be the one to make that decision. But I cannot recommend attorneys on retainer, except I've had one person who lived in Arizona and it works for them in Arizona. If it works for you in Arizona, that's fine because they are admitted to the bar to practice law in Arizona and in Hawaii. But I know that I cannot represent them or recommend them to ever take on a case for any of my people in Chicago or Cook County. No, that's a recipe for disaster. So yeah, that's a recipe for disaster for sure. All right, yeah, House of the Princess for sure. Please, yeah, please, 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 please. Shouts out to you, your channel, stuff like that. You did great in class. I know you came to my class. You did great. It was good to see you too. Haven't seen you in a while. All right, y'all. Peace.